Peter, let me take off from where Santosh left off and linking it back to Mr. Kotak's aspiration of taking more Indian brands global. Santosh is talking about inking FTAs. Even for the aviation sector, I mean, bilateral rights have been an issue and continue to be an issue. For us to truly aspire to take global share in the Indian aviation market, what is the expectation? What is the ask on the policy front?
I think when it comes to the traffic rights on the aviation side, there's still a lot of rights available for Indian carriers. I think a lot of the rights have been used so far by foreign airlines flying into India, and there's a lot of unused rights on the Indian side. Today we serve around 3.5 lakh customers on a daily basis, of which 90 to 95% are Indian customers. So I think we have a great opportunity building on that to produce in India, for India, but also for the world. So our aspiration clearly is to start adding more and more flights international. I think we have done some recent examples to Baku, Almaty, Tbilisi, Tashkent, all served out of Delhi. You know, if you would have said 3 years ago, would Indigo fly to these places? People said, no, probably not. So what we do, we build our domestic network. Pondicherry was announced yesterday as almost our 90th domestic destination, but even more so international. I think that international traffic right regime still has a lot of opportunities to grow for Indian carriers. And there's quite a few places in the world where there's foreign airlines flying into India and Indian airlines are not really present. So I think for the time being, there's still a lot of room available. And of course, we engage with the government wherever rights should be opened up. And some countries, and I think Thailand is a great example, they're opening up their borders, they waive the visas for Indians, and what they see is a herd of Indian tourists coming in. And I think there's an enormous potential for the Indian consumers to travel, but also for the foreigners to come into India.
No, and that is a significant driver as far as the economy is concerned, even from a jobs perspective. But Rohit, let's talk about, again, India's significance as far as Unilever is concerned from an IP and an innovation point of view also. And what is driving that, what's happening as far as the product pipeline is concerned. And more importantly, as you look at the next 10 years, what are the 3 or 4 big bets that you're willing to take on the back of what you believe the Indian consumer is going to be willing to pay for?
Well, to begin with, I think the source of strength of the country is its people, not just as a consumer market, but the sheer human capital. You see that, in the case of Unilever's context, being brought to life in 2 ways. If you went to Bangalore, we took our global CEO there to show him 2 great assets built over decades. One is our what we call UniOps GCC, 2,000 strong with a massive partner system, which is now doing absolutely cutting-edge work. 40% of our global GCC now is in India and will grow. And we have cyber security, AI tools, all being led out of India, products being built. In fact, in a conversation with Jensen Huang some weeks back, he said, India should be exporting AI. So that is sort of the vision we have, we could have potentially for that kind of capability. We have 3 research centers in India, 800 odd scientists, many IPs to their credit. Insofar as the work is concerned, a lot of the work is being done here is for the global use as well as for the India use. And to your last question on where are we betting on, we have 4 big categories: home care, personal care, beauty care, and food. By and large, in all of those 4 big verticals, we have a huge, huge headspace. We're globally aligned. All of those categories are important for us and for Unilever. So it would be wrong to say one or the other. I think we have big headspace in all those 4 categories.
Within these 4 categories, new opportunities that are specific to the needs of the Indian consumer? Is there anything that the Indian consumer is telling you that's different from what you're hearing from your peers elsewhere?
Well, I think in large measures, many of the benefits and categories and formats, you take the example of home care, which is one of our big iconic categories. We went from bars to powders to liquids to capsules and potentially sheets, as formats of washing laundry, given the example Essie gave you on that in the morning. So we've seen the upgradation across all these formats. They've all come into India as well. But what does change are 2 things. All of these product formats are customized for the Indian wash habit, in fact, customized for many Indians. And secondly, price value also plays a very, very important part. That it has to be at a price point where actually the markets can be opened up. And I think I just want to make a point in closing around exponential thinking, because if 90% of India is yet to be built, if all categories have to be 4 or 5x, we have to start envisioning today, when we all sit in a room, in a not a linear fashion, non-linear fashion, what we can do in every category, because at this point, I think sky is the limit, but we have to be patient and focused on the long term.
Well, patient and focused, but let me get you to comment on what we heard from Minister Goyal. And he said that Indian companies need to price much more competitively when we talk about demand. Is there room at this point in time, given where commodity inflation is, to do that?
I think pricing is all very category specific and market specific, and in most categories, certainly we play, which is totally free market, is very, very competitive. We compete with local players, regional players, global players, D2C players. So I think pricing, we have to be very, very lean to make sure that we are just rightly priced for our brands, and we have portfolio brands ranging from Clinic Plus on one end in hair to Tresemme, and we'll be going up further in that market. So we serve all segments, from 1 rupee sachet all the way to a 600 ml or a liter bottle.
Yes, and of course, for 4 crore rupee cars as well that the Indian consumer is picking up on. So Santosh, what should we expect as far as growth for you is concerned, given the consumption trends that you're working with?
Yeah, I think on the pricing topic, I can also say even luxury customers are value conscious. So it's not sensitive at a price point, it's value. And for sure, but what to expect, I think the transformation will get in cars with some technology that we have never ever seen. A lot of time will be given back to the driver. So a lot of autonomous trends. Even in India, we are seeing a strong uptake for a lot of autonomous features, ADAS features, a lot of connected cars, a lot of e-commerce. You'll be surprised. We have done close to 40,000 crores in last 3 years via direct to consumer, out of which 8,000 crores of Mercedes-Benz cars were sold online. So when you put that number, it's a lot of e-commerce transactions also happening. So a lot of convenience for customers to shop online, to purchase online. So the buzzword is, on the other side, there is no luxury without sustainability. So a lot of sustainability, not just electrification of cars, but recycling, repurposing will also come in.
Peter, let me ask you, we're seeing consolidation in the Indian aviation market. We've just seen the Vistara Air India merger also coincide with your new offering. Is this good news for airlines like yourself? Does it give you more pricing power? And what about the consumer? What should we expect?
Look at a country of the size and scale and potential of India. We should have airlines like banks, like consumer products, which are matching the size and the scale and the potential of the country itself. So the fact that now there are some larger airlines emerging in the market, it's exactly the same trend as what's happening in other parts of the world. So this consolidation phase that has taken place in the US, it has taken place in Europe, and it's taking place in India itself now. So, if we want to compete and bring India to the global stage, we need airlines matching that size. And Indigo clearly is going to be one of them. We're going to double in size in the next couple of years. Today we have a little over 400 aircraft, and we have another 950 on order. So that's sort of the growth trajectory we're in. And maybe just to reflect on the pricing side, I think India, by a long margin, is the most competitive market in the world. And I would invite you to look at some of the prices between Delhi and Ahmedabad. and you see the prices as low as 2,500 rupees. I mean, we start today our business class fare for 18,000 rupees. So I would like just to underline the value-conscious consumer will be there, whatever market segment you're in. And I think at Indigo we serve all these different market segments. But that in itself, and I think that's an incredible asset for Indian companies, because if you can address the Indian market, the value-conscious, price-sensitive, cost-driven market, you should be able to compete international. So I'm very confident that with our international expansion and our Indian cost levels and competitive levels, we should be able to compete.
You should be able to compete. So India prepares you for the world. Now the question is, how soon do we actually take share? Global share is the big question at this point in time. I'm going to end by asking each one of you to leave us with a number. And I'm not asking for the next quarter, so feel free to be much more forthright with that. One number over the next 5 years that you're going to be focused on from a HUL perspective.
Market-making led competitive growth.
Market-making competitive growth.
So market share would be my centric.
So what would the market share look like in 5 years?
Well, difficult to quantify that as one
But still,
number.
ballpark.
No, I think it's varies from category to category. We'll confuse everybody with the number, but we intend to, in most majority of business, continue getting share. And the way to gain share in a market as exciting as this in the medium term is to grow the market, because that's really how you get more competitive.
Okay, so gains in market share while growing the market. Peter, the number.
I would line out the number of 200 million. Today we welcome 3 lakh customers a day, 100 million a year. By the end of this decade, in 5 years from now, we should be double the size what we have today, 200 million a year.
200 million a year. That's a good number to go with, Santosh.
Wow, I heard doubling in 5 years by certain pundits here on the stock market side, but at least for automotive, even if it is 1.5 times, so 4 million going to 6 million should not be bad in terms of automotive market.
Well, it certainly will be a big move up from here, which will create opportunities for the economy and for industry. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause to Peter Elbers, Rohit Java and Santosh Iyer for joining us here on The Wallet Wars. We wish you all the very best of luck. Thank you very, very much.